Ahoy, mateys. Ever wondered about the life of a pirate? Then today is your lucky day. The golden age of piracy was a time when much of the Western Hemisphere was being colonized, and a lot of the treasures and natural resources were being sent back to Europe. So a lot of pirates saw this as a golden opportunity. The golden age of piracy. Today I'm going to talk about the golden age of piracy, in more particular, the pirates Henry Morgan and Edward Teach. Henry Morgan was arguably the most deadly pirate of his time. Thousands died by him and his crew's hand. Cities were destroyed, reduced to ash and rubble, and the guy never spent a single day in jail his entire life. He was allied with England, so he did whatever he could to disrupt the Spanish in the western, in their colonies in the Western Hemisphere. He pillaged their towns, and he did this legally because he was sort of a privateer, which is like a legal pirate for England. So they just let him do whatever he wanted to the Spanish. In January of 1671, he set his eyes on the city of Panama. He found that it was defended by 1,500 troops, but him and his crew had no problem killing them all. They pillaged the town and found considerably less loot than they were hoping for, so in a rage they just kind of set the whole thing on fire and burnt it down to the ground. After this, he led a pretty quiet life for a pirate, and spent the rest of his days in retirement in Jamaica. But not every pirate has such a happy ending. One such pirate was Edward Teach, who was known as Blackbeard. Stories portray him as like ruthless and cunning, and he killed members of his crews just because he wanted to. But historians cast some doubt on that because a lot of bystanders and hostages that he ever held said not nice things about him, but he never like hurt them or anything. He used his frightening image, which I'll show you here, to basically scare people into, can't really see it that well, sorry. But it's kind of the stereotypical view that we have of a pirate today. He's kind of the first guy to kind of get that whole thing started. So, like I said, he used his frightening image to basically scare people into giving them their stuff rather than having to use violence. His biggest claim to fame is the blockade of Charleston, South Carolina. This is in the early days of the colonies, where he basically sat at the mouth of the harbor and blocked any incoming and outgoing ships. And at one point, he took a civilian vessel hostage and demanded medical supplies from the mainland. And they eventually gave him the medical supplies, and he released the hostages on their boat, but they all came back naked for some weird reason. Like I said, he was a strange guy. Eventually he was pardoned and retired, and he was just kind of sailing around the southern colonies, not doing much of anything. And he got near the coast of Virginia at one point, and the governor didn't like that he was there, and he requested an illegal bounty on his head. And not long after that, there was a small battle, and Blackbeard was shot 5 times, stabbed 20, and eventually decapitated on his own boat. So, yeah, he didn't have the happiest ending. So today I talked about the golden age of piracy, specifically the pirates known as Henry Morgan and Blackbeard. I personally find this era really interesting, and just a unique time period that you don't see much of any of this anymore. And I hope you enjoyed this brief look at it.
You don't have to put all that because he's going to be using it too, so just go ahead and leave it. Oh, yeah, thank you.
No, and we can probably touch those. had to proceed. Because I had an email.
Every question for a lot of people. What do you do? I'm actually a chef. You have to wear a helmet. Oh, it is?
All right, Taylor. The organizational things in the speech are fine. You've got an attention device, thesis statement, preview, there's a structure, you've got the 2 points. I think you could do a little bit more citation of the supporting material. Sometimes the stories seem to be a little uncertain. You know, the second one, when you're talking about Blackbeard, for instance, it seems a little vague as to what happened, and I'm not sure if you're quoting directly or if you're just trying to paraphrase what you remember reading about, and so I think that it could be a little bit better prepared in terms of the content there. On presentation issues, I thought you positioned yourself appropriately when you're delivering the material with the overhead and where you're standing and stepping back appropriately at the right times. You have a few indicators while you're speaking. You need to be a little bit more animated while you're speaking, especially, for instance, with that attention device and some of the kind of gruesome things that went on that got described. Your eye contact is inconsistent because you do have to look at your notes quite often, and even sometimes when you're not looking at your notes, you do have a tendency to sort of look down. When you look up, I do think that you are engaging the audience, which is what we want, but you're just not doing that quite as much as you need to. The biggest issue is still your voice. You need to get some more energy and volume in it, especially at the beginning. I'm not going to have you practice it now, but I gotta. Come on, an ahoy matey. That ahoy matey sounded so weak. Keebler Elf wouldn't do that ahoy matey. Come on, you need scream. You don't have to scream, but you know, a little energy, a little force behind it to get the attention going. And then you don't have to be that way the whole time, but then it works better as an attention device. Otherwise, everything else seemed pretty solid. I do think that you needed to practice it a little bit more and work on that content some. All right, thank you.